Atula, now see, today is the 30th. See, we're already on the last day of this month.
Sorry, we are taking a short break at this point.
Break?
This is Talk with Atula. Sorry, sir. Sorry.
Why the unscheduled break?
I forgot that today's the 30th. There are some urgent transactions.
Transact wherever you are on your mobile phone via the People's Wave mobile banking app or People's Wave internet banking facility. Join the People's Bank digital banking revolution now.
Need to pay a bill or do a money transfer? Just do it during the next break.
People's Bank digital banking, your ultimate convenience.
In a few moments, the news.
People's Bank digital banking, your ultimate convenience.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
One 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Puris and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The head of the state says unity, togetherness and relationships are essential to achieve people-centric goals. The Prime Minister says Poson Poya blends the Sri Lankan state with the essence of Dhamma teachings. 173 prison inmates will receive pardons today in view of the Poson Poya. The Cabinet approves Friday to be declared a holiday for public servants. The government introduces a social security fund by imposing a new 2.5% tax on importers and manufacturers. The US contributes $27 million to strengthen Sri Lanka's dairy industry. The Park and Ride bus service set to return. International news. The Amnesty International report Russian forces use cluster munitions 7 times in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. Sports cricket. Sri Lanka, Australia first ODI in Kandy, Dunith Velalage likely to debut. News in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says the unity, togetherness and relationships are essential to achieve people-centric goals. Issuing a message to Mark Poson Poya, the head of the state said the country overcame past challenges as a result of working collectively and towards a common cause. The president said the Dhamma introduced by Arhat Mahinda Thero also revealed a path for the betterment of the nation, adding that it also aimed at the spiritual development of a person. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says Poson Poya is the day when Sri Lankan state was blended together with the essence of Dhamma politics as well as the spiritual well-being of the Sri Lankan people. The Premier, issuing a message to Mark Poson, said Sri Lanka considers Poson spiritually symbolic day. The Premier added a path of Dhamma endorsed by Arhat Mahinda is like a roadmap for a society that is looking to alleviate the political, socio-economic turmoil that has taken hold of the Sri Lankan state. 173 prison inmates will receive pardons today in view of Poson Poya. Inmates will be released based on recommendations issued by the Minister of Justice and Prison Affairs Wijedas Rajapaksa. The Justice Ministry said those imprisoned due to the failure to pay fines will have their outstandings waived off under the state pardon. The highest number of 23 inmates will be released from the Valikada prison. The Cabinet yesterday endorsed 2 key proposals to be implemented in the public service, introducing a 4-day work week for employees and 5-year no-pay leave for those willing to migrate for foreign jobs. Friday will be declared a public holiday for them, except for those in essential sectors such as education and health. With 3 non-working days, public sector employees will be encouraged to carry out agricultural work to increase production in the country. Besides, public servants can apply for 5-year no-pay leave to go abroad for employment opportunities. It will not affect their promotions or retirement upon return. The Minister of Transport informs that Sri Lanka Transport Board will once again commence the Park and Ride bus service daily from tomorrow. Subject Minister Bandula Gunawardena said the buses will function between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. from Makumbura, Kadawatha and Katubadda and will return to the locations between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. The minister said the public can securely leave their vehicles and leave for Colombo. Minister Gunawardena claimed that the buses will leave their destinations every 10 minutes in the morning, and when returning, the buses will depart every 15 minutes from Colombo. He noted that private buses will be part of the Park and Ride service. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
Sri Lanka, India and Egypt have opposed two agreements of the World Trade Organization that proposes not to restrict exports and be more transparent. Members of the World Trade Organization are seeking to forge agreements on food security to ease strained supply and rising prices as the war in Ukraine worsens. The 164-member trade body is seeking to reach two agreements at a major meeting of trade ministers this week in Geneva on steps to alleviate a food crisis that threatens the least developed and most vulnerable countries. This would be a declaration to keep markets open, not restrict exports and be more transparent. The Australian authorities have intercepted another boat carrying Sri Lankan asylum seekers close to the Cocos Islands. According to Australian media reports, the Royal Australian Navy helped intercept the boat after the vessel they were travelling aboard was burnt close to the Cocos Islands. It is not known how many passengers were on board or if they are part of a group of 42 asylum seekers to have left Sri Lanka for Australia in May. The latest interception comes 1 week after Australian border officers stopped a second boat travelling from Sri Lanka. And that ends local news for now.
Transact wherever you are on your mobile phone via the People's Wave mobile banking app or People's Wave internet banking facility. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The government has decided to introduce the Social Security Fund by imposing a new 2.5% tax on importers, manufacturers, service providers, wholesalers and retailers. The proposal was first introduced through the 2022 budget. Accordingly, a new tax at the rate of 2.5% will be imposed on importers, manufacturers, service providers, wholesalers and retailers whose total turnover exceeds 120 million rupees per annum. The bill prepared by the legal draftsman has been cleared by the Attorney General. Accordingly, the proposal submitted by the Prime Minister in his capacity as the Minister of Finance to publish the said bill in the Government Gazette and submit it in the Parliament has been approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, the Water Supply and Drainage Board announced that the water cut is to take place due to the repair work of the plumbing system in 31/3 bridge in Yakkala on the Colombo Kandy Road. Accordingly, the water supply will be suspended from 2 p.m. tomorrow, the 15th of June, to 6 a.m. on the 16th of June. Hence, the water supply to the areas from Miriswatta Junction on the Colombo Kandy Road to Aludgama Bogamua Road will be suspended. And that was Watchlight. Moving on to a bulletin of world news in the headlines. The Amnesty International report, Russian forces use cluster munitions 7 times in Ukraine's second-largest city of Kharkiv. The UN Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet will not seek a second term. Trump slams inquiry as kangaroo court on January 6 hearing. World news in detail. The Amnesty International reports that Russian forces have used cluster munitions 7 times in Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv, killing a number of civilians. International conventions currently ban the use of cluster munitions, which eject smaller sub-munitions on the basis of indiscriminate cruelty. The Amnesty International sent researchers to the city of Kharkiv following a report that the cluster munitions were being used. The organization concluded that Russian troops carried out 7 cluster munitions strikes in neighborhoods across Kharkiv between late February and the end of April. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, indicated on Monday that she would not seek a second term. The surprise announcement came during a wide-ranging speech to the Geneva-based Human Rights Council. Bachelet said, without giving a reason, her term as High Commissioner draws to a close. This Council's milestone 50th session will be the last she will brief. The former US President Donald Trump has blasted the congressional inquiry into the Capitol riot as a kangaroo court. In a 12-page statement, he said the investigation was designed to distract Americans from the disaster of democratic-led governance. It came after the committee held 2 public hearings accusing Mr. Trump of an attempted coup to remain in power. Supporters of Mr. Trump stormed Congress on 6 January 2021 in a bid to thwart certification of Joe Biden's election victory. Back to the headlines of the world news. The Amnesty International report Russian forces used cluster munitions 7 times in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. The UN Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet will not seek a second term. Trump slams inquiry as kangaroo court on January 6th hearing. And that was the world news. Moving on to a bulletin of development news. The US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, attended the signing ceremony for a Memorandum of Understanding with the Sri Lanka Department of Agriculture on Monday for a $27 million project that aims to double the milk production of Sri Lankan dairy farmers participating in the US Department of Agriculture's Food for Progress initiative. The US Embassy in Colombo said the close partnership with the government of Sri Lanka began in the late 2017 and has already benefited 25,000 Sri Lankan dairy farmers, increasing their milk production by an average of 68% to date. An estimated 80,000 Sri Lankans will ultimately receive assistance from this program as part of the United States' continued efforts to support food security and economic growth in Sri Lanka. And that was development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Cricket news. Sri Lanka will take on Australia in the first one-day international of the 5-match series in Kandy this afternoon. The first ODI will get underway at the Pallekele International Stadium from 2:30 p.m. Sri Lanka will be captained by Dasun Shanaka, but the playing 11 has not been named yet. According to reports from Kandy, it is likely that promising 19-year-old Dunith Wellalage will make his senior international debut today. Meanwhile, Australia won the T20 series 2-1, have already named their playing 11. The Pallekele deck is known to be competitive, but there is a chance of rain interrupting proceedings this evening. Meanwhile, Disney Star won the coveted Indian Premier League Indian subcontinent TV rights for a whopping 235.75 billion Indian rupees, while Viacom 18 grabbed the digital rights with a bid of 205 billion Indian rupees at a media rights auction yesterday. The Board of Control for Cricket in India is set to gain after selling its IPL TV and digital rights for the Indian subcontinent for a combined amount of 44,075 billion crore, making it one of the richest entities in the sporting world. And that are sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A credit card exclusively for women has been launched by the Commercial Bank of Ceylon, giving a new expression to its commitment to the empowerment of this customer segment. The bank said the largest addition to the bank's Anagi women's banking portfolio, the Anagi branded near-field communication-enabled credit card from MasterCard will be issued in the gold and platinum tiers with a host of special benefits. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The U.S. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken has agreed to assist Sri Lanka and promote investment after the conclusion of talks with the International Monetary Fund. This was during a phone conversation with the Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. In a Twitter message, the Prime Minister said that he briefed the U.S. Secretary of State regarding the current economic situation in Sri Lanka and requested for both countries to work closer. And that was economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
In the weather report, the Department of Meteorology forecast evening thunder showers in the Uva, eastern and north central provinces are expected to enhance. Several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy and Mathura districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the Uva, eastern, central and north central provinces and in the Vavuniya and Mullaitivu districts during the afternoon or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters may occur at some places in these areas. Sea areas, several spells of showers will occur in the sea areas of the coast extending from Pruthlam to Galle via Colombo. That was the weather report, and to end this news broadcast, the headlines again. The head of the state says unity, togetherness and relationships are essential to achieve people-centric goals. The Prime Minister says Poson Poya blends the Sri Lankan state with the essence of Dhamma teachings. 173 prison inmates will receive pardons today in view of the Poson Poya. The Cabinet approves Friday to be declared a holiday for public servants. The government introduces a social security fund by imposing a new 2.5% tax on importers and manufacturers. The US contributes $27 million to strengthen Sri Lanka's dairy industry. The Park and Ride bus service set to return. International news, Amnesty International report Russian forces used cluster munitions 7 times in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv. Sports cricket, Sri Lanka, Australia first ODI in Kandy, Dunith Wellalage likely to debut. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.